You're headed to the happiest place on Earth. Or wait, is it the most magical place on Earth? And where's Mr. Toad's Wild Ride? Why is there a bakery here, not breakfast with Winnie the Pooh? Disney World and Disneyland can be confusing and get confused. But we're here to set the record straight. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Vlog. To the uninitiated, the differences between Disney World and Disneyland may seem non-existent. And even to those of us who've been to both parks, we can still get tripped up sometimes when we go into autopilot mode for our home park and end up at the wrong store or restaurant. These are the most confusing things about Disney World and Disneyland. Okay, Magic Kingdom and Disneyland are nearly the same. The layout and spoke and wheel design of Walt Disney's first park, Disneyland, and Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom are nearly the same, but some of the lands are different and things are generally just the tiniest bit off from what you're used to in whatever your home park is. It can be kind of confusing when you know one park better than the other and things are located in different places. Like when you're headed to get some churro toffee at Jolly Holiday, but oh wait, that's Crystal Palace and I'm in Florida. The Haunted Mansion is located in generally the same space in the park, but in Disneyland, you'll find a Georgian mansion in New Orleans Square, while in Disney World, you'll find an imposing stone mansion in Liberty Square. The Haunted Mansion can be found in several Disney parks around the world, and it's never in the same land. In Disneyland Paris, it's in Frontierland, and in Tokyo Disneyland, it's in Fantasyland. Possibly the weirdest land comparison, if you're a Disney Worlder visiting Disneyland for the first time, is that Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is located right behind Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and Star Tours is over in Tomorrowland. Even with 3 more themed lands than Magic Kingdom, Disneyland is still smaller by about 22 acres. Even the castle is smaller, a lot smaller. Sleeping Beauty Castle in Disneyland is only 77 feet tall compared to the 189-foot tall Cinderella Castle in Magic Kingdom. Okay, happiest versus most magical place on Earth. Even major Disney fans get this one mixed up, so which park uses which tagline? Magic Kingdom was the unofficial tagline for Disneyland before Magic Kingdom in Florida even existed, which makes things a little more confusing. But the official tagline for Disneyland has always been the happiest place on Earth, and Disney World has always been the most magical. Should be easy to remember, magical is where Magic Kingdom Park is. Up until 1994, Magic Kingdom was officially known as Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom, but now it's just Magic Kingdom to help differentiate it from Disneyland. And drive home that Disney World is the whole resort area, not just one park. All right, next confusing thing, Disneyland is the park and the whole resort, the whole place. That makes it more confusing because Disneyland can be used interchangeably for the park or the whole resort area as a whole, including Disneyland, Disney California Adventure, Downtown Disney, and the hotels. Disneyland Park is inside Disneyland Resort, but Disney World Resort is the 4 parks, Disney Springs, all the resorts, and lots of acres of land around all of that. Magic Kingdom is not Walt Disney World, but Disneyland can more or less be used interchangeably for the park and the whole resort, though some clarification is often helpful. Speaking of, another little bonus confusing piece is Disneyland Hotel is not the same as Disneyland Resort. Disneyland Resort is everything in the area, both parks, all the hotels, Downtown Disney, but Disneyland Hotel is just the hotel. Okay, next super confusing thing about Disney World and Disneyland, the same rides aren't the same. Magic Kingdom and Disneyland may have some of the same rides, Pirates of the Caribbean, Splash Mountain, Space Mountain, Haunted Mansion, but those rides are different in the 2 parks. Ride vehicles on Splash Mountain and Space Mountain are different. In Florida, Splash Mountain has seating that lets 2 people sit side by side, while Space Mountain is a row of single seats. In Disneyland, it's the opposite. Also, Splash Mountain in Disneyland doesn't have a lap bar. And Space Mountain has another difference. In Florida, there are 2 tracks that run at the same time, but in California, there's only 1 track. Splash also has some scene differences, and Space Mountain gets fun overlays in Disneyland like Hyperspace Mountain or Ghost Galaxy. Now, Pirates of the Caribbean has different scenes and more drops in Disneyland. You'll go down 2 drops, sail through the bayou as the ride begins, and through a scene of pirates shooting at each other while sitting on powder kegs and explosives. The Haunted Mansion in Disneyland actually uses an elevator, the stretching room, to bring you to the ride, which is below ground. In Magic Kingdom, the room just stretches. And there's no elevator happening. In California, It's a Small World features characters from Disney animated films. And Big Thunder Mountain is a little different in the 2 parks as well. You won't find the goat holding dynamite in Magic Kingdom. I know you guys have heard me talk about bringing my son on Big Thunder Mountain in Disneyland, forgetting that it was the dynamite version with tons of actual real fire. He totally freaked out, and that set us back a good 2 years before we would ride another Disney ride. Next confusing thing to be aware of, Disneyland still has some rides that Disney World doesn't. Disneyland has some rides that are long gone from Disney World and Magic Kingdom's Fantasyland. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and Snow White's formerly Scary Adventures, now Snow White's Enchanted Wish, can both still be found in Disneyland. And if you're having about a nostalgia for the creepy, bizarre, dark rides of your childhood, that's where you want to go. Now, Magic Kingdom in Florida even has a ride that you won't find in Disneyland anymore. The Disneyland People Mover closed in 1995 to make way for the extremely short-lived Rocket Rods, but you'll still find the People Mover, thank goodness, in Tomorrowland in Florida. Now this one's real weird. The same items may cost more in a different park. So even if you look beyond the fact that a one-day ticket to Magic Kingdom starts at $109, $5 more than park entrance to Disneyland, there are plenty of other things that are going to vary in price. A cup of Dole Whip will cost you $4.99 in Disney World, but $5.99 in Disneyland. Turkey legs are closer in price than they used to be, $11.79 on the West Coast and $11.99 on the East Coast. And at Oga's Cantina and Galaxy's Edge, you'll pay $3 more for Bet 2 Bits, a snack mix in Disney World. Merch will sometimes be different prices in the parks as well. A weird quirk that shouldn't make too much of a difference, it's only a few dollars, but added up it can make a visit to one park much cheaper than the other. All right, let's talk walkability. Disneyland is much more walkable than Disney World, and this is where some Disneyland locals get a little tripped up when they head to Florida. It's a wild concept for Disney Worlders who haven't experienced the ability to get off a ride in Disneyland and onto a ride in Disney California Adventure in a matter of minutes. It could take you well over an hour to get between parks and Disney World, but in Disneyland, it's a snap. You just can't park hop like that in Disney World. You will need to take transportation to get nearly everywhere in Florida, but there are actually a few places you can walk between there. But in California, your own 2 feet are the preferred and often only mode of transportation needed to get between hotels, dining, shopping in downtown Disney, and the 2 parks. The park entrances to Disneyland and Disney California Adventure are only separated by about 300 feet, and that's why I do always recommend bringing little kids to Disneyland first, because it's much easier to get from here to there and to get back to your hotel room for naps or feedings or whatever else you need to do if you're staying on property. No transportation needed except walking. Also, what causes that incredible walkability is the fact that Disneyland is just so much smaller than Disney World. It is a much less intense experience trying to visit Disneyland. You can absolutely do 2 or 3 days in Disneyland and have a great time and see most of what you want to see, whereas 2 or 3 days in Disney World isn't even going to scratch the surface. Another reason why I say to bring little kids to Disneyland first. All right, speaking of my little kid and why he likes Disney World better than Disneyland, the monorail. Now, I'll get to his opinion later, but let me explain the confusing part. The monorail in Disneyland has a stop in downtown Disney and inside Tomorrowland. There's not just a loop through the park like at Epcot. The Disneyland monorail doesn't have a stop at any of the resorts, just the downtown Disney stop, which is an easy walk from the hotels. But because it's basically an attraction in itself, the line can be hours long on busy days, and that is totally different from what you'll experience in Disney World most of the time. In Disney World, it's a loop and it's basically transportation. And if you feel like staying on the monorail for, multiple loops, you can, it's no big deal. But in Disneyland, you have to disembark when you get to your destination. You can't stay on. And don't forget, you need to have a park ticket to use the monorail in Disneyland because it takes you inside a park. Now, recently, when I told my son he could choose to go to Colorado or California for vacation, he said Colorado. And I said, what, you don't want to go to Disneyland? And he said, no, the monorail is no good in Disneyland because you have to wait forever to get on it. And then you have to get off at the end. And he loves to go on the Disney World monorail where he just gets to ride around as long as he wants. So I said, fair enough. Guess we're going to Colorado. All right, another confusing thing about Disney World and Disneyland. This is super confusing. The Avengers will never be in Disney World. If you're a big Marvel fan, you'll have to go to Disney California Adventure to see Avengers Campus because of the weird contract with Universal that keeps Spider-Man from stepping foot in Disney World. Universal Studios retained the rights to the Marvel characters in an agreement signed in 1994 between Marvel and MCA, which would eventually become part of NBC Universal, with with two specific clauses. One, Universal had to actually use the characters to retain control over them, and two, the agreement split the country down the middle, and the rules applied separately to the areas east and west of the Mississippi River. Universal already has rides around Spider-Man and the Hulk, with appearances from Captain America and the X-Men in their East Coast parks, but they've never brought in Guardians of the Galaxy characters, and that's why you can find them at Epcot. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is expected to open in Epcot sometime next year and will be the first permanent Marvel fixture on the East Coast for Disney, though due to licensing, they can't use the name Marvel in promotion of the land or ride. Crazy, right? Now, since Disneyland is west of the Mississippi, they're free to use whatever Marvel characters they want. Confused? Yeah, us too. We did a whole blog post about it, so if you want to read all that information, it's all over there. So did we clear up at least some of your Disneyland, Disney World confusion, or are you now stewing over the fact that Dole Whip costs a whole $1 more in California? If you've been to both parks, we'd love to hear your stories in the comments. Tell us why you like Disney World or Disneyland better, the differences you've noticed, and best of all, any tips you have for visiting Disneyland if you're a Disney World fan, or visiting Disney World if you're more familiar with Disneyland. We'd love to hear from you. Also, we've got lots of videos about Disney World and Disneyland, including major differences between the two, what you need to do first if you go to Disneyland for the first time. Lots of those videos all here on the channel. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Vlog, and we'll see you real soon.